It's just another podcast. Gonna be picking it out. It's just another podcast. Gonna be picking it out. We got old David Bellamy in the house. Yeah, and we're gonna be picking it out. Hey, y'all. My name's Andrew Pope, and you're listening and watching Picking It Out. Sound like a dog barking. Did you hear that? Huh. Hope that wasn't a glitch or something. Appreciate y'all tuning in again and continuing to tune in. We got a really special guest on the show today. This guy's wrote a ton of number one songs that everybody knows, and just a really good human being. Everybody knows the Bellamy Brothers. So this is David Bellamy. How you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good, Andrew. How are you?
Hanging in there, doing pretty good. Y'all been working still?
We have been working some, obviously not nearly like our normal schedule, but we just did 2 shows for the New Year weekend, and just got back in from Texas last night. And
okay.
So yeah, we've been playing. I mean, enough to keep us alive, but
yeah.
But obviously the schedule's been a lot different this year. So I know it has for everybody, because I've talked to a lot of my friends, and everybody's been down.
Yeah, y'all work probably more as far as travel wise. I mean, y'all go all over the world still, and I know there's some people that can kind of do that in country music, and y'all are ones that just. I know y'all are in Norway and Switzerland all the time, and of course all over the U.S. too. But man, does that ever get like rough, all the travel hours and stuff?
Well, the travel actually, I think, is the thing that gets the hardest about it as we get older. We still, the shows and everything we enjoy doing, and I think our band and crew and everybody's as good as it's ever been right now, but the travel, is harder now than it's ever been, and I would imagine after COVID it's going to be even worse. So
yeah,
we've been working on some European tours for 2022 about a year, and there's already a lot of things that are different, so it's gonna be crazy.
I bet Howard does nothing but complain about all this running around these days. I could just see him. Let's go.
One of our keyboard players we had was with us a few years back. He gave Howard a little license. It looks like a driver's license, and it says "license to bitch," and he carries that with him everywhere, and he uses it.
Yeah. He pulls that card a good bit, don't he?
Yeah.
Man, I love him. I love both y'all, though, all your family and everything. I guess the last time we seen each other was that old Indian casino in Nebraska when I was on tour, and y'all were doing a one-off or something. Well, y'all might have been coming from Michigan or something.
It was cold out there.
Yeah.
Wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. We was trying to get on the internet or something, and started writing a song, I think. Because Indian casinos don't ever have internet for some reason. It's down all the time.
We played a casino one time. This is back when the casino, the Indian casinos, actually were relatively new, back in the 80s sometime. and we played one, and they had one of those windmills. They had a windmill outside that generated all the electricity, and that windmill went down. It went down, and it stopped the show, and it stopped the casino. They had to get. There was not enough wind. They had to get auxiliary power to come in and run that little casino.
Oh man! And people thought that was a new thing.
Oh yeah, that's a big deal then. That was.
Oh man. Yeah, I'm just glad y'all are, still getting to work. Everybody's been healthy and everything. I know you said Susan had been a little sick. I hope she's doing better.
Yeah, Susan has been a little under the weather. She's had a kidney stone. And we're supposed to blast that out of there next week sometime, hopefully. And but she's keeping our spirits up. Everybody's pretty good. We've actually been working on a covers album. I actually haven't even mentioned it to anyone yet. But we've been, while we were down, you got to do something. We've been growing a garden and working cows and cutting a covers album. But we just thought we cut this couple of cover songs for Europe, for this company in Europe, and we didn't really want to do them because certain songs I kind of think shouldn't be covered.
Yeah.
And then of course they are anyway, and nobody listens to me. But they wanted us to cut "You Lost That Love and Feeling." Man, nobody's going to do that better than the Righteous Brothers. I mean, I like the Hall & Oates version, but still, the Righteous Brothers, it's kind of a shrine,
Yeah.
But they kept on at us, and we cut it, and it came out really good. So after hearing that, we thought, well, let's we could go back and cut some tunes and a combination of things, country rock, and so we've gone back and I don't know, we've probably got 12, 13 songs.
Cool.
So they're pretty cool.
Did Willie ever do Old Hippie?
No, I don't think Willie ever cut Old Hippie. I think they were thinking about it for that album he did with Pearl.
That's right, because y'all were doing the double disc record.
Yeah, the 40 years, yeah.
40 years, yeah. And y'all were at Ocean Way in Nashville. And
right.
When I came by there to hang out, you was talking about it. I wonder if he ever did.
Yeah, no, he didn't ever cut it, but I wish he would. That'd be great. He'd be the guy to do it.
Oh, he would. Man, it's, I feel like back in the day, and people have probably told you this a million times. I feel like back in the day, man, when you were in the bar, pick up ladies, you just had all these pickup lines. You walk up to.
They didn't work that well.
Say, hey, sweetie, do you love as good as you look? I mean, judging from the cover, I'd love to read the book.
They work better for ladies, I think.
Is that like, what was it? I mean, really, nobody's that I can think of has wrote, songs, especially successful songs, so many with pickup lines like you have. I mean, if I said I had a beautiful body, would you hold it against me?
Yeah.
Just so many. I mean, how'd that even start? Just inspiration?
Well, the beautiful body was, I just got that idea. I heard Groucho Marx use it on one of his old TV shows I like old television, I'm old, but I like old things, like that, like the old Marx Brothers and all that stuff. And I just heard him use it. He had a game show called You Bet Your Life. Mm-hmm. And he would bring contestants out and they would ask questions, and it was pretty much a straight ahead game show, but a lot of it revolved around his he had a million one-liners. So I heard him one night. He had kind of a buxom blonde on there, and when she came out, he said he thumped his cigar, And he said, if I said you had a beautiful body, would you hold it against me? And I thought, man, that's a really good song title. Let me turn my phone off here. I said, the really good song title. And I said, somebody's going to write that. And so I just said, if I could think of a melody to go with it, that's and first of all, it struck me as a kind of a novelty song, what I would call a novelty kind of. And the title did. And I thought, if I could straighten that out and make a love song out of it with a novel title, it actually might be, and that's kind of really the whole concept of that song.
And then the rest of them just kind of came natural, I guess. I was always the song. I never had any formal training as a songwriter. Of course, I don't know if there is such a thing, but I was about to say.
But the stuff I liked was always hooky. I loved hooky records,
Mm-hmm.
People who, people who wrote songs, baby, baby, don't get hooked on, just that thing that pulls you in,
Yeah.
And so those are the people I was kind of gravitated to. Didn't matter what kind of music it was, if it was Tom T. Hall, if it was Paul McCartney,
Mm-hmm.
just the stuff that hooked me, and that's the stuff I ended up liking and writing the most of.
When I was in Florida, when I stayed with y'all that week, and we wrote songs all week, that community that we went to and we got the Cuban sandwich. You told me, I believe you told me that your daddy would take y'all there when you were kids.
Yeah.
Get the Cuban sandwich, and it was like an actual Cuban community.
Yeah.
Back then.
Down Ybor City. That's where the cigar factories were. And my mom and dad worked at the cigar factories. Mm-hmm. My mom actually was a cigar roller. And my dad worked there too at various jobs, and they old Tampa cigar companies, and a lot of those buildings are still there. They aren't so much nowadays. It's mostly like custom cigar rolling. You'll have like one or two people that still know how to do it. Hand roll them. But Ybor City, was a very historical part of Tampa. It was the Cuban part of Tampa, and it goes way back to the Cuban settlement has been there pretty much as long as Tampa's been there.
Did y'all ever consider moving to Nashville when you got your record deal?
No, actually, we moved to Los Angeles because I wrote Spiders and Snakes for Jim Stafford. In a roundabout way. I didn't write it for him originally and say, here, Jim, record this. I wrote that song. It was like a little country. It was a little hooky country song.
Mm-hmm.
And I had been going over to the only person I knew in this whole area that was even in the record business was a guy in St. Pete named Phil Gernhardt. And he had produced Lobo and the Royal Guardsmen, which you talk about novelty records, they did the Snoopy and the Red Baron songs and all those kind of crazy songs. But he's the only person I knew. And so I was able to get a couple of meetings with him. And I had taken him a few songs that I had cut at this little studio. And he pretty much hated all of them. And but he left the box. There was a little reel-to-reel box. And he left the box laying on the table, and him and Jim had just had a record out called Swamp Witch, which was kind of did good on regional radio. It wasn't a national hit, but then Jim came in there and he saw that title. It said I don't like spiders or snakes on it, and Jim took the reel-to-reel out and put it in and see what it was. He liked the title, so he took it out, and so that's how it got cut, really, because Jim really liked the song. So that's kind of the way we started off. I didn't know anybody in the record business, and so Jim, after Spiders and Snakes became so big, he moved to L.A. and and they gave him a summer replacement show for the Smothers Brothers. He had a whole summer, of a variety show, and I went
CBS.
out there and worked on the show. And Gallagher was writing comedy on the show, and Howard was road managing Jim, and I was working on songs and music. In fact, I wrote 5 songs on his next album.
Wow.
So I actually moved to Los Angeles, and we kind of went by Nashville. I had been to Nashville a few times, but they just kind of thought we were just hippies. And it was hard to sort of get anybody there to listen to you at that time, to listen to us at least. And so I went to LA, and then along came, I ran into Neil Diamond's band, because a lot of those guys were playing on the sessions with Jim and stuff. I got to be friends with a lot of those guys, and their drummer, Dennis St. John's the one who mentioned that we should cut Let Your Love Flow.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
We were doing a session on actually some of my demos, my new, I had 3 or 4 songs, and we were doing a session on them. And Dennis came up to me and said, he said, our roadie wrote this song that sounds just like something you guys would do. And I said, where's it at? Let's hear it. And he said, I left a tape over at Phil's office. So we went after the session, we went by there and got it and put it on. And I heard it, and I said, man, that's a great song. And Howard heard it, and he said, yeah, that's a great song. We got to do that. So
good thing y'all did.
Yeah.
What kind of, I mean, was y'all into the whole Beatles invasion thing in the 60s, or what kind of music kind of made y'all want to feel like it'd be possible for you?
I actually didn't ever know it was possible. I just didn't know it was impossible.
Yeah.
If I'd known more, I probably wouldn't have tried this. But we were into so many things musically. I mean, I can't even, it's hard to even explain how many. I mean, I was playing accordions, polkas with our dad, Howard. I was playing the beer barrel polka, at family reunions. And, and I was playing Waiting on the Robert E. Lee and all those old things on the accordion. And we were listening to everything from Sing Along with Mitch to the Rolling Stones. Mm-hmm. I mean, literally everything. Connie Francis, anything that came on the radio. I saw my novelty song, Ray Stevens. I used to love those early Ray Stevens.
Oh, yeah.
Songs, anything that was on the radio. Because, we used to work on the farm. And my dad would always kid me because I had a little transistor radio I tied to my belt while I hoed on, and he'd say, boy, you got to put your ass in the other direction because you're not getting very good reception, Because back then, the old AM radio, depends on what direction you were facing.
Mm-hmm.
So we were into a lot of different kind of music. So we literally heard it all. And then my sister, would bring home, she was a teenager at that time. She'd bring home Everly Brothers records, and we'd hear the Big Bopper and all that old stuff. And so literally everything I loved.
Who's the first country artist that you remember hearing?
We went to see Webb Pierce and Johnny Cash open the show. The first time I'd ever heard of Johnny Cash. I don't remember what year it was, but I was really young. I was like 6 or 7 years old, so it had to be 56 or 7. And Webb Pierce had that big old nudie jacket on with the spider webs. And Johnny Cash, came out. Man, he was thin as a rail. That's back in the, I guess, Johnny's pill popping days.
Oh, yeah.
And we went down to see them at the Fort Homer Hesterly Armory in Tampa. That's the first show I ever saw.
Man, that's, over the years, getting to know a lot of these artists and experience the things that y'all have, winning awards. And I've not been there, but I mean, I feel like winning awards and everything is just fine and good. I feel like that's more of a political, a business type deal, part of the music business. But, experiences with people is really what is important, I think. I mean, it is to me. I mean, even me and you, our friendship, is important to me.
Yeah, I think that's true. I have Chet Atkins came up to me and Howard in a health food store in Nashville and told us how much he liked Whistling Dixie. And Bob Dylan told me how much he liked Old Hippie. And wow. So those kind of things to me are that's the treasure right there.
Yeah. I mean, it's like and I didn't know until you told me, but y'all did all of those records. You had Jimmy Bowen, which was your producer, fly in, and y'all did them at your barn there on your property in Tampa.
Yeah. Yeah, Bowen used to come down. He liked to come down there because there's about 5 golf courses down here. So we'd sit there and record all day, and he'd go out and play golf, and then he'd come at the end of the day to listen to what we've been cutting. He goes, "Yeah, that sounds good, boys."
Yeah, I mean, I feel like not a lot of people would have been given the budget to do that. They'd have had to come to Nashville or do it on, their own dime. But y'all were killing it, man. I mean, you had number one after number. How many number ones have y'all had?
Well, we say we had 20, and I'll tell you, we go by the Charlie Pride rule. As Charlie Pride gave us the rule a long time ago. We were in Europe with Charlie, and so somebody had printed that we had like 16 number ones, and somebody else had printed we had 20 number ones. Because back then, like there is now, there were different charts. Mm-hmm. There was Billboard, and there was R&R, and Cashbox, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So Charlie was sitting there at the table with us, and I think we were in Frankfurt, Germany. I'm pretty sure that's on that tour. And we were going, well, this guy said over here, Cashbox said we had 16. This guy at Billboard said we had 20. And so who do you count? How do you count it? And Charlie says, listen, if you had a number one on any chart for 1 second, it's a number one.
Yeah. That's pretty much the industry way of doing it,
That's a Charlie Pride rule, so we go by that, so we can say 20.
You talked about Conway Twitty a lot, about selling merchandise, how he kind of taught y'all and a lot of people how to really sell some product.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Conway had it down. I think he probably sort of set the standard for this industry with selling merch. Yeah, because I used to see him back in, we'd be on the show with him, and he'd sell more merch than he actually made on the door. Mm-hmm. They'd have more merch under the bus bay than they did equipment because you're going to sell so much of it.
And he rented y'all's sound system on tour, didn't he?
Yeah, that's actually how we ended up getting the tour with Conway. Was he knew we had a really good production because we had been out with a lot of the rock groups, like Loggins and Messina and the Beach Boys and stuff. We'd been out with them after Let Your Love Flow, and so we had built up. Of course, we were broke because we had borrowed it from the bank, but we had a really good sound system. So he took us and the sound system out with him on his run we played almost the whole year together.
I feel like back then I had Teddy Gentry on a couple of weeks ago, And of course, y'all sold a lot of merchandise too, I know, but Alabama, I mean, my God, through the 80s, there's no telling how many millions of dollars.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I toured a lot with Alabama. They sold a lot of merch. Yeah.
Did y'all ever come to the June Jam, by the way?
Oh, yeah. Sure.
Did you?
Sure, we did. I don't remember how many of them we did, but we did quite a few of them. I still got my June Jam satin jacket.
Oh man, that's awesome. You have to send me a picture of that. I'd love to see that.
Yeah.
That was a huge thing, man. And for such a small town, it wasn't even a wet county then. It was a dry county.
I've often wondered, those June Jams, a lot of those were recorded and filmed. So I wonder what a lot of that stuff is, because there was recordings done of a lot of those jams.
Man, I don't know. Randy and Jeff and Teddy probably have a lot of that. I know that the second or third year, Dick Clark came down and they did a CBS special.
Right.
I do know that and I've seen some home videos, but I'm pretty sure Teddy's got a lot of stuff. He kept. There's no telling what all they have.
Right.
But yeah, wouldn't that be some gems to see some of that stuff?
Oh, yeah, because literally everybody was there. They had a lot of actors from the hit TV shows at the time would drop into those things, and all sorts of acts. Everybody in country would be there, and so yeah, that'd be really cool stuff.
Who was the first guy or artist in country to take y'all on tour and actually be like, because like you said, Nashville probably thought y'all was just hippies and they didn't know if you was rock or country, or it was during that time. It was
Conway.
Yeah,
Conway. Yeah, because we we had Let Your Love Flow, with such a big worldwide record, and Howard and I had been, like I say, we'd been out with a lot of acts, like everybody from Heart to Loggins and Messina and all those people. We actually did we were the opening act on the whole Loggins and Messina breakup tour, the very last tour they did.
Wow.
Which went on for quite a while, almost pretty much the whole year. And then after that, we moved back to Florida. We left LA and came back to Florida, just because the record deal was so bad out there. We, at that time, we didn't know if we'd even work again, because we didn't have the best relationship with our label. So we tried to put the band together and go out and work. And Conway's talent agency, United Talent. I don't know how he found out, but we had all the production and everything. But he hired us to go out, and we actually played. We were on tour with Conway the first time we played "Beautiful Body" live. It was because we started playing it live. We had worked it up, and we started playing it live like about a month before we recorded it. And we played it live up in Louisville, Kentucky, and the crowd went crazy. They responded like immediately to it, like it was a hit. And we came off stage, and Conway was backstage. He had just come in off the bus. He said, "Boy, y'all better cut that song."
Now, I had John Schneider on too, and he always talks about the fact that Conway Twitty told him, that he knows a good song.
Yeah,
how to pick one.
Yeah,
and me and John was talking about back in those days. You had like Buddy Cannon and Bobby Bear and y'all and just Harold Shedd. People that could find a good song and it would be such a fit. But they listen to songs all the time. Teddy said he probably listened to 500 or 600 songs a week.
Yeah. Yeah. That was normal back then. Yeah. The song was everything. It was everything. That was normal. We do Howard and I would go to Nashville and do the whole publishing round. We'd sit in MCA's office, and publishers we'd sit there and listen all day long. It was just trying to find that perfect song, and of course trying to write them at the same time, trying to come up with them. I mean, we were fortunate; we wrote a lot of our own hits because I think a lot of our songs lent themselves to our sound, obviously, because it was kind of built in. So we were fortunate, but we also looked for hits too.
My wife wanted to know how you wrote Redneck Girl.
Well, Redneck Girl started out kind of being one of those almost like cultural type of ideas. We were playing so many Texas honky tonks. I mean, back there toward the Urban Cowboy period, you could play Texas honky tonks almost every night of the week. And we had been playing, a lot in all those honky tonks. And, I would see all those girls come out there with their names on the back of the belt, because that was like somebody had started that. It was a fad all of a sudden, and country girls have that name on it. And so everybody was just called them Redneck Girls. Oh yeah, Redneck Girls out there at that club, And so that's actually what kind of how the seeds started, and it's just seeing that culture. And Texas has always had that dance culture too, which we liked a lot, because I like our music to move. We have a lot of Latin influence too, because we grew up in Florida. We were one of the bands that I think almost more than anybody would use like percussion on country records. Because to me, a lot of country records were kind of they didn't move like they could have, Later on, people like Don Williams, would cut tracks with congas and stuff, that had that great movement in them.
Yeah.
But back then, there weren't that many doing it. So
love is on a roll. Love is on a good roll. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
true.
So Redneck Girl really just kind of came out of that Texas dance culture.
She's from Texas too, by the way. So that kind of fits.
Yeah.
I wonder if that was like an Urban Cowboy thing, the name on the back of her belt, how that did start.
I'm not sure where it got its start originally, but then after Redneck Girl was a big hit, it got even bigger, because Redneck Girl we were really fortunate because it was a hit really twice.
Mm-hmm.
It was a #1 record. And then when the whole early 90s country dancing thing came along, it became even bigger than it was the first time.
Oh yeah. They started remixing songs and stuff.
With all kind of remixes and all kind of extended mixes and all kind of crazy stuff.
Well, after Conway kind of said, all right, boys, y'all come on with me, and turn it up to 11, I guess people like George Jones and pretty much everybody probably accepted you then, didn't they?
Yeah, actually, we got to know everybody, and especially a lot of the artists. It was really strange for us is that we never got to be what I would call Nashville insiders, because we spent as much time overseas as we did here. And that's one of the reasons I think we never became Opry members is back then you had to play so many nights a year at the Opry. I was in Europe or Australia or South Africa or some crazy place, just because there was so much work for us there. And we'd be in Germany, we'd be doing a television show with ABBA, and we come home and we go to Mississippi and be on a show with Jerry Clower. So, and it was hard to explain to people how diverse it all was for us, because we would, we used to go and do those big Eurovision shows and stuff. That's how we got known so much in Europe, because those Eurovision shows would cover the entire continent.
Wow.
So it was crazy. It's crazy. We've always had a crazy career. It's never been normal.
Yeah, it's interesting because I don't think people really know to think about that. I don't know. A lot of people probably don't know that y'all live on your homeland there in Florida. Big old trees out there that big around. And man, every time a hurricane comes through Florida, that's what I think. Man, I hope it don't take those trees down out there. But
I think too, every time I see one come. But the thing is those trees have all been here a lot longer than me, so they've all withstood it so far. But every now and you get one that comes through and cleans it all out.
We when I was out there, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago, you and Susan was kind enough to bring me out there. I really appreciate that and y'all's friendship over the years. We wrote some pretty good songs, and one of them, it was, remember, it rained every day. Like you and her said, well, you make sure you got your flip flops and like your shorts and your shades and all that stuff. And it rained every day except for that one day. And we went out by the pool, and you were like, man, I don't know. I've had this idea for a few years, put on your granny panties, and never really knew what to do with it. I was like, well, hell, let's play around with it. And then we ended up writing it in that little tiki bar y'all got set up around the pool. Yeah,
granny panties. That's what my Susan and her mom used to always. They would say that to her Mima. They'd put on your granny panties, Mima. We're going to town. We're going into town. And I'd say, yeah, that sounds like a good song.
Yeah, I remember you telling me that. And your mother's old house is your office that sits right there where the pool is, and y'all just got gold and platinum records and all kinds of mementos and stuff all over the wall. But she would be happy with that, I think.
Yeah, we used to any awards we won, we used to bring them home and give to our mom. That's one nice thing before she passed away. She's been gone like 11 years now, but we bring them home and nail them up to the wall in that old office, and it kind of just stays looking like that. Howard and I, we don't, like we were talking about earlier, awards, physical awards don't, at this point in our life, doesn't mean that much to us. We value friendship and musical friendship and fan and friends that we meet on the road. And we've known so many people over the years everywhere. I spent most of New Year's Day just telling people Happy New Year on social media because, between me and Susan Howard, because you just forget how many people you run across over the years. And there's so many, you end up saying, oh, yeah, I remember that guy down in Australia, and I remember this guy over here, and, from Argentina, stuff. And so, most of our old awards and stuff, we just brought them home and gave them to our mom. So we just leave them all in that old office where she used to put them.
Well, I think one of the biggest tragedies in country music is that y'all are not a member of the Opry and not in the Country Music Hall of Fame. I understand the politics behind that. You've talked about it, but it's still a damn shame, and they should be ashamed, I think. I said the same thing about Hank Jr., but now they put him in. So
right, yeah, and Tanya, and Tanya, and all that, and John Anderson, and like I was saying a while ago, the back then, we used to play the Opry a lot, and when we still play it every time we get a chance. And the Opry's actually been really good to us. I like those guys up there. I don't know the politics of the Hall of Fame too much, so I can't really say. But back then, we literally were everywhere in the world. We still do that, but back then it was like, okay, we're in Germany this week and we're Japan next week. Yeah, so we would stop and do the opera and stuff, but like I say, back then everybody used to play so many times a year and stuff at the Opry, and we have never had the schedule we could do that.
Yeah. And by the way, you should be in the Songwriters Hall of Fame, and that's a big shame too. And if it never happens, man, I can't see how it wouldn't. But man, that one's hard for me to accept. I know, like I said, you've talked about it before, but that all that should happen.
Well, the politics. We've actually never been too good at our politics. For whatever reason, we've always been so busy kind of with our own world, writing, recording, our family. I think those are the things that are most important to us. But like I say, our politics, we probably should have practiced those a lot more when we were younger.
No, you shouldn't have, man, because you wouldn't have the integrity that you do, was y'all in the All My Rowdy Friends Are Coming Over Tonight video?
No, we weren't. We weren't in that one. I wish it had been. That was a fun video. I love Mel Tillis in that video.
Oh, everybody's like Cheech and Chong, and that was one of the first music videos, I think. I think I heard Merle Kilgore talk about that.
Yeah.
That's always a guy I wanted to meet, Merle Kilgore.
Oh, Merle, yeah. I spent a little time with him over the years, and yeah, he's a great guy.
Always had a story and a joke or just something. Just that over the top voice and laugh and just. Man, if it wasn't for him, old Hank wouldn't be who he is, probably.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, I was thinking that y'all were in that. I know Cheech and Chong, Jim Varney, Grandpa Jones, everybody was in it. Yeah. And then he did another one, Young Country. And I saw I think I texted you a picture one day I saw. It was from one of the ACMs where y'all were doing it on stage with him, but I don't think y'all were in that video either, was you?
No, not the music video, but I remember the on stage one. Is that from the ACM or the CMA? I can't really remember.
Yeah, one of the two. I can't remember.
I know we did one at the CMA 1 year. I think it was about the time of Urban Cowboy. They did one. They did one big a big barroom scene, and they had Hank Jr. and Merle and they had us and I think Lacey J. Dalton and maybe Mo and Joe or maybe just Joe. I can't remember, but everybody was doing all barroom songs. It's kind of after Urban and Merle did I think I Just Stay Here and Drink. Mm-hmm. And then Hank did part of. Everybody did a piece of. They made a big medley out of it. It was a CMA thing. I'm sure that I've seen a couple photos of it.
That y'all, I can't picture y'all being, it's kind of like probably being out of your element back in those days. Or was it just kind of like put your work face on and dress up and go do the, the can band sound thing? Because back then they were doing that, right? To save time.
But it was, it was kind of fun in a way because you kind of run into everybody and it was kind of the same for everybody, Merle, obviously he's somebody like him, he'd be out of his element and everybody would just kind of do it, but it was kind of fun. And those things are, some of those videos still around and they're kind of fun to see, but it's not what you normally do, but it was kind of a fun thing to do at the time.
Is Spiders and Snakes your biggest song as a writer besides the stuff that y'all did, that you've had?
That's a good question. I'm not sure. We've actually had a couple of songs that have been recorded, like in, Cliff Richard from England. Cliff is probably maybe the third largest selling artist outside the U.S. after the Beatles and Elvis, and he's now 80. He just turned 80 years old. He actually did a couple of songs of ours too that were really, really big hits worldwide. He actually did a version of "I Could Be Persuaded." That ended up being very, very big, and I think they ended up putting it on his 80th anniversary album. And stuff like that, and of course Tim McGraw and Midland just cut "Redneck Girl," like in the last month or so. which is always nice.
Yeah.
Something like that to come along. And so, yeah, there's been a lot of stuff and a lot of songs and movies, and Beautiful Body's been cut. It was actually a big hit for Ray Sawyer down in Australia from Dr. Hook.
Yeah.
He had a solo record on it down. I mean, our version originally was a big hit there as well, but he did a solo version that actually ended up being pretty big down there. We got, it's like quite a few cuts around here and there.
Does writing still come naturally to you as it used to, or was that a road thing, just being on the road traveling? And
no, I think it comes pretty natural. I write quite a bit. Even when we were doing these cover songs, it felt kind of funny not writing and preparing songs to cut, because that's what we always done. But even while we were cutting these, I started getting other ideas. But now we've actually got a video and duet with John Anderson that's going to be out in about 2 weeks.
Okay.
That is a song I wrote called "No Country Music for Old Men."
Oh, and I love that. I got to hear that.
And us and John did it. It's out now. You can hear it on like Spotify and stuff. But the video will be out in a couple of weeks. We've already shot it. We're just finishing the edits and everything.
How is John, by the way?
He's pretty good. He's doing pretty good. Yeah, we did all the Blake run with him. With Blake and Trace and Lorna Elena and us and him. And he had been under the weather quite a bit prior to that. Had some problems, but he's made a pretty good recovery, and he sounds great, and he's just I just love John to death.
He's the nicest as a guy that you'll ever meet. And, great writer, and that's what I was going to say, man. He sounds better than ever.
Oh yeah, and he's just a gem, man. There ain't nobody any better. I mean, guys like him, like and Gene Watson. I mean, they're like the real stuff that's left here. I mean, that's the real country. Those are the real country voices of our times.
Yeah, a true stylist.
Yeah,
like Lefty and early Merle kind of rolled into a ball or something.
Yeah. When we had this song here that I wrote. It was, when I wrote this song, I kept hearing John's voice on it. I mean, the whole time, I actually hadn't thought of doing it being a duet in the beginning. And I kept saying, man, John Anderson would sound so good singing that line. And so we got him to come in. He comes in like on the second verse, and, it's just classic.
Yeah, I'm glad he's doing good. I didn't know he had anything wrong until I started seeing when he put that record out that was produced by, I can't remember the guy's name now.
Oh yeah. No, I can't remember it.
But that's a great record, and
sure is.
They started talking about his health problems, and I'm like, well, I didn't know anything about that. So I'm glad to hear he's doing good. I've always loved him, man. Yeah,
he's been doing good. We were really fortunate, got to spend some time with him on Blake's tour, and that's a lot of fun because I hadn't seen John in a good while, and I didn't know he'd been sick. So it was a lot of fun, and then we got to reconnect, and then we cut this duet together.
Y'all have got a little reality TV show that's a hit, right?
Yeah, it's done really well. The Honky Tonk Ranch.
It's comes on the Circle.
Yeah, it's on Circle. It's on Thursday nights on Circle Network, and we had a lot of fun with it. The third season should be starting here pretty quickly, within the next month probably.
I love Circle, man. I stumbled upon that by accident, really, and ended up watching. Of course, they air the Opry. They also have, I think it's Phil Vassar that does songs from the Cellar.
Yep.
And it's kind of like what me and you's doing now, except they're in person sitting there. And they had Vince Gill on the other night, and he's talking about, When I Call Your Name and Chet and George Jones and Haggard and all that. And I really dig that kind of stuff. Vince, man, what a nice guy he is. I mean, you talk about a generous guy that has no ego whatsoever.
Yeah.
He's one of a kind, really.
Yeah. Howard and I were in England. I don't even remember what year this was because it goes back a ways, but his original label had brought him over there to be on this festival. He was a new act and they were trying to break him, and they brought him over there. And that's the first time I had met Vince, and we got to hang out and we ran around Soho and just around town. Went to a couple of clubs that were that had country and stuff, and that was way back when. And Vince, he's kind of the same guy as he was then. He's it's funny, and man, he used to tell the best jokes and just hysterical. Yeah, he's a great representative for country music.
I remember one time in the truck, I think we were riding somewhere when I was out there at y'all's place, and you were telling me about George Jones coming in to sing on Sugar Daddy, I think it was, for a record. And he did he wasn't happy with his vocal. And everybody was sitting there like, why? What's wrong with that? I'm not sure. I don't know, George's what his innermost thoughts were, but he seemed to be insecure. I mean, this is one of the best voices ever on earth in any type of music, but he seemed to be insecure with what he did. And he always seemed that way, like it wasn't quite good enough, or he didn't know. And he came in and he started singing Sugar Daddy. Of course, we were all falling down in the control room. It was killing us because it was so beautiful. And he goes, is that all right? And I think I can do it better, And we're like, George, good Lord, it sounds like the angels are singing, So I just get the feeling he was kind of an insecure guy. But I can understand that. But it just seems funny coming out of him. Well, yeah, because everybody reveres him as this. The king of country music. I mean, George Strait. Later people say George Strait's the king. I think George Strait may be the Prince George.
Right.
George Jones is the king.
Right.
Right. As far as Georges go, but man, I mean, he in the 90s. I feel like his voice got just better in the 90s because he got a deepness. All the years of cigarettes and whiskey, I guess, just kind of got that voice. But
he had a confidence there that he
did.
It's like his voice was singing him. He didn't have he just went where it went. It was just a beautiful thing.
That Dolly sang on that record, I think, didn't she?
Yeah. Dolly did Beautiful Body with us.
She loved it, you said.
Oh yeah. She had a big time. We had a big time in the studio. What a pro.
Oh, I'm sure. My God. I mean, like y'all, you can just go in the studio, knock it out, and that's it.
Yeah, she's the ultimate pro.
I think you said that you went on tour with her in Europe one year. I think.
Yeah, we've been a lot of places. Toured a lot in the States with her too. I can tell you who we used to tour a lot with in Europe was Tammy. Mm-hmm. Us and Tammy used to play, especially the UK. We played a lot of shows together. That was always great because I love Tammy so much.
She was huge over there, just as much as here, probably, right?
Yeah, especially in the UK, they just love Tammy. Tammy and Don Williams in the UK, man, they couldn't get enough of them.
Oh, Don, he did some kind of thing live in Africa a few years ago, and I remember he sold it on his website.
Yeah.
And man, he just sat out there like on a stool with thermos of coffee or a cup of coffee and just sit there and tap his foot, not hardly say a word, but my God, what a voice.
Yeah, we were down there and we were down in South Africa about 3 years ago. We did South Africa and Sri Lanka and and they still remember Don Williams. Yeah, those places, they loved him.
Have y'all ever gotten any shit traveling overseas like that? Any bad territory?
We've seen, a couple of, back in the old days, like Northern Ireland, when things were going on there, and then South Africa's, depends on where you're going. You can be a little sketchy, but we've always been pretty lucky, and we just kind of take for granted that nobody's going to really want to hurt a hillbilly band.
Hillbilly hippies.
Yeah, it's not like we're spies or something. We were in North Korea. We went and played in Korea for the troops, and we went up to the DMZ there where North and South is, and played some acoustic stuff for the guys that guard the border up there and stuff. And that's pretty hairy. That's pretty hairy stuff.
I just can't imagine, traveling right now, how much different it's going to be from here on out. It's just what a crazy 2020 it was,
Yeah. Yeah. I would imagine it's going to get, Howard and I have mainly been, we've mainly been just flying up to Nashville and jumping on the bus and driving to go for these dates we've done in the fall, because we've scaled it down a lot. But I would imagine, coming up, depending on what they do with the vaccine and everything, I imagine it's going to get a little crazy, like going overseas. We actually have the whole month of June this year is supposed to be in Europe, and as far as I know now, it's still on. But we'll see. They may change that, but we'll see what happens.
I did one show all year last year, and it's kind of why I wanted to start this. It's a lot of people are doing these podcast things, but I've lost touch with a lot of people for the most part. And I just thought, it'd be kind of healthy for maybe them and myself too. And it has been. I've felt more, at ease or something. It gives me a peace, just to be, it's not like being on stage, but I like it. I enjoy it,
Well, and people have gotten used to kind of gravitating to things like this. If they want to, if it's whatever, if it's things that interest them, like if it's country music or whatever, they've gotten used to seeing it this way. We did a few of them. We did one for overseas, and we did a few. I did one with John Schneider, and we did one with Mark Wills. During the quarantine and everything, and so a couple people have done them, and we have gone on and just talked and gone over things. But I think it's good. I enjoy watching stuff like that.
Oh, me too. My wife gets aggravated, because I'm either watching it or I'm in here editing or doing something, because I edit this stuff and put it together too. Which all you got to do is go on YouTube and somebody teaches you how to do it. That's what I did.
Right.
I don't have the best equipment, but if this thing does pretty good or decent anyway, I'll upgrade, and it'll save a lot of editing time.
Sure.
So I'm glad to hear that y'all are doing the covers album. That's exciting. I've seen a lot of people doing that just in the past few months.
Well, it's not something I would have thought about doing before, but like I say, we kind of did a couple of things for this European project, and then they turned out really well. And we thought, well, heck, I think this would sound good. And so we put together, I think, some interesting songs. Most of it is stuff that, would lend itself to a duo singing, with mostly like we did Ryden Cowboy by Paul Davis, like that. And it turned out really well.
And that'll be coming you'll be announcing that on your social media.
Probably late spring, early summer.
Okay.
We haven't really set a date for it yet because we got the project, the duo with John coming out here in a couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm. Y'all's, how many animals do you think, or what types of animals do you have on y'all's farm there?
Well, I mean, primarily it's cattle, but we used to run a pretty big cattle operation. And then after my mom died, it was just a little bit too much to handle, especially since we were touring so heavily. So we kind of scaled it down to just the old, what we call the home place here. And so we still got about probably over 100 head of registered Brahma cattle here. And then we've got everything from parrots to goats to horses to, you name it. And it's wandering around here, hound dogs and kind of crazy stuff.
Do you know anything about mini Juliana pigs?
No, that's a breed I'm not too familiar with.
Well, it's a fairly newer breed. People are breeding pigs smaller and smaller because so many people are having them as pets. They're not like pot-bellied pigs.
Right.
That's a lot of right there, I felt like. But Dana, my wife, she almost ran over one on the road. It ran out in front of her the other night. So we have a pig now.
Oh, wow.
And we've been like printing out stuff on the internet, watching videos. There's this one girl that's got an animal sanctuary. She's out of Georgia somewhere. We've been watching her videos, trying to learn. So I thought maybe you might have some tips for us, but I guess not.
I don't know what those are, but I'll have to check into those. Hopefully Susan won't hear about them. We'll have one in the house with us.
You will. She's cute as a button, man. And they're so smart. I didn't realize that they were that smart.
Yeah. Pigs are really, really smart animals.
And they're so clean.
Yeah. Very, very smart.
But I mean, that thing is funny as hell. She'll get in there and spin around and wag her tail, and she plays and wants to root and everything, it's going to be an adventure. Y'all also started your own brand of something. Why don't you talk about that?
Oh, the medical marijuana.
Yeah.
We have actually for a long time, of course, have been proponents of legalizing pot, or marijuana, cannabis, whatever you want to call it. Mm-hmm. A company here in Florida called True Leaf, and Florida passed medical marijuana about 4 years ago, and it's done really well. The regulations on it and the everything, the people who use it, I mean, it's really been a good program. And so we got with them, and we had the idea we wanted to start a strain called the Old Hippie Stash. And so we got with them and actually came up with their growers and technicians actually came up with the strains. And we the toughest part of this whole assignment was trying them all, because it's kind of like wine tasting, only
yeah,
only a lot of smoking in one afternoon.
Not a lot of focus, huh?
No. But we came up with, we got the Reggae Cowboy, which is a sativa strain. We got the Big Love, which is a hybrid. And then we got Afterglow, which is the indica. And they have done really, really well. They came out in March, actually just as the shutdown, right when we kind of got shut down for the road. They launched the Old Hippie Stash line then, and it's done really, really well. And you don't think about it. I mean, we think of it in terms of, because I mean, at my age, I do actually use marijuana mainly medicinally. Mm-hmm. I've got a chronic shoulder from 45 years of guitar hanging there, and a sciatic, and I mainly use it marijuana medicinally. But we get letters and stuff now from people who like terminal cancer patients and stuff who are just thanking you for putting it out there. This is the only thing that relieves their pain. So it's really an incredible thing. And after being involved with this company for a few months, I'm really glad we started it. It's doing really well, and it's a great thing. I'm pretty sure at least medical is probably going to go national.
That's awesome. Have you tried the CBD oil thing?
Yeah, yeah.
Have you had any luck with that?
Yeah, and the thing about CBD, as far as I can tell, is it's kind of like not regulated enough, so that people can sell CBD at the gas station, or you can buy it. You can get it anywhere, and some of it's really not very good, and others you can find. Our one of our dogs had cancer. Willie. Willie and Whaling.
Yeah.
Willie had cancer, and we found Jim Heap, our steel player. One of his buddies has CBD that he makes. He's out of Kentucky, and he makes this special animal CBD that's flavored with papaya. And it's like really, really helped him. I mean, he's been so much better since he's been taking it. So we're hoping that he goes into full remission. So it just depends on kind of the grade. And see, that's the thing about the medical marijuana. This company we are with, they don't sell anything but the highest quality. It's just quality, and it's expensive. It's not cheap. And of course, like a lot of people now are, especially people who are terminal and stuff, are getting aid, to get it. But in CBD, you really got to look around because it's not as regulated as the medical marijuana.
Yeah, that's what I've noticed. It's been kind of confusing if you start going down that rabbit hole with the CBD, because it's such a popular thing now, but you don't really know what you're getting, I feel like.
You don't know, and you gotta really look around and get the right stuff.
Now the animal CBD that your buddy makes there in Kentucky, can it be given, or do you know if it can be given to just for joint pain and stuff, or is it like? I'm pretty sure he's making human and animal, and there's not really a lot of difference. One of the animal thing is he's making it papaya flavored, because papaya actually enhances the receptors. Like if you go smoke a joint and you eat a papaya, you'll actually get higher than if you didn't eat the papaya. Really?
Because it has the receptors, your brain receptors. The papaya actually opens the receptors up.
Huh.
So yeah, you can Google the papaya and marijuana, and there's a whole bunch of articles about it. So they actually put it in the CBD of the dogs because it will, it lets them receive it better, and it reacts better.
But you can give it to them just, even if they're not terminal or something, if they just have a bad hip or something.
Yeah, sure. Well, my mother-in-law gives it to her little dog because he's like 12 or 13 now. He's getting up there, and she gives it to him. He's a whole different dog when he's taking it.
Hey, what was that thing you gave me? It was like a cough drop type thing. You said it was from Switzerland or Germany or something for your throat.
Oh, that's the bee propolis.
That thing right there, man. I couldn't remember what you called it, but that thing was like a miracle drop. I don't even know what to call it.
It's bee propolis. And you can look that up too. The best bee propolis you can get it in Europe, but the best propolis comes from New Zealand.
New Zealand.
And you can sometimes you can find them here. Some of the health food stores will carry them, like maybe Whole Foods or something. But the best propolis comes out of New Zealand. It's great for singing. I use them all the time. I never go without them.
Man. Good to see you again. Good to talk to you. It's been a while. I guess since Nebraska.
Yeah.
That's that Indian casino. Which that was fun. Y'all did 2 shows in one day. And it was, I think y'all got caught in the snowstorm or something, didn't you?
Yeah.
I barely missed it.
I remember there being a blizzard involved.
Man, that's something I can't do. Good is the traffic and the I feel like other people freak out more than you do when, and it causes problems all around us. But let's get together and write us one soon. And I'm glad y'all are still working, man. And maybe I'll get back out to Florida sometime one of these days.
All right. Good to see you, Andrew. I'm glad we got to spend some time together.
Yeah, man, me too. Y'all keep writing, and look forward to hearing that. Tell people your website and all your social media, where they can find you and where they can buy the product.
Yeah. So BellamyBrothers.com is the website. Of course, Bellamy Brothers on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, you name it. You'll find us. You can look up David Bellamy, Howard Bellamy, Bellamy Brothers, and we're there all over the place.
Worldwide. And watch their show Honky Tonk Ranch on Circle.
Yeah.
You never know who you'll see on there.
Oh, no. We got season 3 starting pretty soon. We got a couple of we had a fun day with old T. Graham Brown. That should be pretty funny. We gave him
I love Tony, man. He's going to be on here hopefully pretty soon. I love him, man. Nobody can tell a story like him. He just got that natural ability.
Great.
I appreciate y'all tuning in to Picking It Out, and we'll see you next time.
See you, Andrew.